Hi, I'm Michael, and what you're looking at here are some red worms in dirt. Now, you may be wondering why these particular worms, which are one of the lowest forms of life on the planet, relate directly to the quality and safety of your life, and hold the key to your survival and the well-being of your entire family. You see, while these worms don't look like much, what they can do for you sure is. What you're about to discover today blows the doors off any other survival plan, whether you need to survive a disaster, a job loss, or the long, hard years that could come after a total collapse. The system you're just minutes away from discovering enables every household in the world to have an automated supply of the freshest, high-quality organic foods and the cleanest water you've ever tasted for pennies on the dollar. In fact, this miracle system has been developed as part of a global initiative to feed the most severe disaster-hit zones on the planet, where hunger and poverty is at an all-time high. It can easily feed entire households across any nation for decades, in the bleakest of times, in droughts, no matter what happens. You'll be able to keep your family well fed with the best, delicious, protein-rich, vitamin-packed food every day, 24/7, 365. Never again having to rely on a job that makes sure you can afford your grocery bill. Never again having to rely on food producers who are becoming more and more corrupt in the way they grow and manufacture what we eat in pursuit of the almighty dollar. Even organic food producers can't be trusted anymore. Sounds too good to be true? Watch this short presentation and I'll show you the proof that this simple, never-before-revealed miracle farm not only exists, it works like a charm. And I'll even show you how you can get one for yourself almost for free today. If you stay with me until the very end of this short but very controversial presentation, I can guarantee you'll sleep like a baby tonight, knowing that no matter what happens, you've done everything you need to bulletproof yourself and your loved ones against hunger, thirst, and the cutthroat looters that would kill anyone without having a second thought if they feel you have precious food. This radically simple yet highly effective wonder farm that's almost undetectable will work for you even if you live in a tiny apartment or don't have much space, even if you live in a barren desert or frozen tundra, or even if you can't tell the difference between a screwdriver and a hammer and never built anything before in your life. This is the exact same system that changed the lives of over 43,000 people just like you. People like Peter from Arizona who writes, "A few months ago, if anyone had asked us if we would be able to survive a time of crisis, we would have said no. What would we eat? Where would we find food? The answer is this amazing self-sufficiency product where anyone can grow their own food. Initially, we were apprehensive, but decided to take the plunge. Best decision we ever made. Changed our lives. We now have a clean and ready supply of food every day, and we don't have to depend on anyone else." And John S., who says, "Unbelievable results. This system has completely changed my life. I was eating processed food almost every single day, and all of that has changed. I'm now eating healthy, organic food, fresh vegetables, and I feel absolutely incredible. My skin looks so much healthier, my hair looks shinier, and I have more energy than I ever imagined. I'm very impressed. I will definitely be referring them to all my friends and family." And today, I'm going to show you all the in-depth details of how this innovative microfarming system works. First, I feel the need to share with you a short story, something that still gives me nightmares to this day. Yet it's exactly what led me to discover this little-known system. Long ago, a man named Abraham Lincoln taught us the secret to living in true freedom and the importance of not relying on others for what you need to survive and live well. "When we were kids," said Abraham Lincoln, "others take care of us. What about when you grow up? If you grow up and you still rely on someone else to take care of you, then you are a slave to that person because they hold the power of giving you what you need to live. Without taking responsibility for yourself, how can you be free? Especially if you rely on someone else for the number one thing we all must have in order to live without suffering, no matter what happens. And do you know what that number one need is? That regardless of our age or the color of our skin, every single person must have, and therefore would be at the mercy of someone else if they could not provide it for themselves." People yelled out all kinds of ideas, but Abraham Lincoln shook his head and said, "No, none of those are above this one need that every single human being has every single day. And it's the one thing almost all of us rely on someone else to provide for us. and yet it's so crucial to our survival. Without it, we will eventually die. Now, that story may sound harsh to you, yet I can guarantee you'll never forget it, as those people learned more than one valuable lesson from Abraham Lincoln that day. When I first came across this story, it reminded me of the time when I myself was experiencing the painful consequences of having to rely on someone else for my number one need in life, which I'll reveal in just a moment. Like you, and almost everyone else I'm sure, I didn't think about this need until I was forced to. It was during one of the worst times in my life. In the blink of an eye, my comfortable life and my family's well-being drastically changed. I lost my job just before Thanksgiving in 2012, and I couldn't believe how fast we'd burned through our savings. I didn't even have time to plan. I've always been an active prepper, someone who prepares for the worst, so I had stockpiled a pantry full of survival food just in case there was a disaster. I grossly miscalculated just how much food a family of four needs every day, so we ran out in almost no time. That left me having to buy the cheapest food at the grocery store, which happens to be the unhealthiest one with a ton of fillers and additives. It was tough to watch my family choke down all those packaged meals and artificial snacks I knew were so bad for us, especially for my two young children who were still growing. Gone were the big family meals with real wholesome food, organic fruits, vegetables, and health proteins like fresh-caught fish. I didn't have much family left, just an aunt and an uncle 1,000 miles away. My pride kept me from asking for help. That and thinking something would change soon and save me from this crisis. You hear about people losing their jobs for months and months, and you see all these homeless people begging for food. But you never think it's going to happen to you. Until it does. Like it did to me out of nowhere. Just as a natural disaster would leave all of us so hungry, another month passed with one failed job interview after another. I was desperate and starting to panic. We'd gone through all the food in the refrigerator and freezer, and even the garage. I found myself not having enough money to feed my family anymore. So I walked next door to my neighbor friend for both comfort and advice. My neighbor had about the most common sense of anyone I knew, so I figured if anyone could give me ideas about how to solve my food and money issues, he would be the one. After an hour on his couch telling him my pitiful story, he got up and motioned for me to follow him down the hall. He said he wanted to show me something no one knew he had. Oh boy, I thought to myself, wonder what he's going to show me. I say this because my neighbor friend was a much bigger and much more serious prepper than I was. He had all the best stuff and was very serious about making absolutely sure he had everything he'd ever need for eternity should the shit actually hit the fan. So we walked down the hall and came to this little tiny alcove he had in his house, kind of a wasted space in his house design that was only about 2 square feet. And I couldn't believe my eyes. There it was in all its glory, teeming with the healthiest, most perfect food I'd ever seen. He had everything in this little secret garden of his. 5 different kinds of lettuces, carrots, broccoli, and kale, red ripe tomatoes, big potatoes, and all kinds of different beans. Huge red strawberries were hanging off plants like big red ornaments on a Christmas tree. He had all the strawberries he could eat in the dead of winter. It was like he had an all-you-can-eat salad bar right in his own home, 24/7, 365 days a year. As my eyes took in this cornucopia of a feast, my mouth started watering with delight. It was like I was hungry in a whole new way. I wasn't just hungry because my stomach was empty. I could actually feel my body craving for all this wholesome nutrition, all the vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, and fresh food that I didn't eat enough of even when I had the money to buy it. Clearly, my neighbor had built a way of life and eating that was far superior. And talk about being able to take care of your entire family no matter what chaos happened on the outside or in your personal life. I realized my neighbor was the person that Abraham Lincoln was talking about in the story, the one I just told you, the person who achieves true freedom when he or she doesn't have to rely on anyone else, especially for food, which I now realize is the number one thing my family and everyone else must have every single day. And oh boy, if I had a little system like this right about now, I'd have far less to worry about. He had all the fresh food and fresh water he could ever need in this weird little concoction of a self-contained ecosystem. What is this? I asked. Where'd you get it? This here is my make sure I eat the best food every day no matter what happens system. At first I got this because I realized it was the most important prepper's equipment I could own. You don't have to be a prepper to know, if you run out of food and fresh water during a disaster, you'll be in a world of hurt. This assures I have both at all times. It's like my food insurance to guarantee my family will always have enough to eat no matter what. For me, I was glad I didn't have to rely on that expensive survival food crap that could run out on you before order is restored. You know as well as I do that there's no government agency come to our rescue in the middle of chaos. Within days, all the grocery stores will be looted clean of every last scrap of food, and roads could be closed for months, keeping truckers from bringing in more. No way am I going to be at the mercy of someone else for my personal food supply. In fact, this mini garden system, pumping out all this endless food, is my answer to a lot of things besides survival, like how much money it saved me over the years. I saved about $100 a month every month on my food bill and savings in gas. I don't have to drive to the grocery store as much, and now I don't have to pay through the nose for organic food and fresh fish. I don't have to worry about pesticides, GMOs, and toxins in my food, and it's a fun little thing to have around. My kids have an ongoing race every day to see who can get to the new berries first. They don't even care about chips and cookies anymore. Now they can get all the naturally sweet fruits and vegetables they want at any time and have fun picking it themselves. The whole family likes to see what's popping up fresh and new every day for us to eat. Wow, is all I could say. That's super smart. I cannot believe you had this full-on food-making system right next door to my house in the middle of the neighborhood, and I didn't even know it. Can you have it outside too? Sure. It can work just fine outside, and it's portable. You can move it inside or outside whenever you want. Or pick it up and take it with you if you have to leave quickly, like if a disaster hit or you had to move out for whatever reason. Did it cost a lot? I asked. Nope. That's the beauty of this thing. It was almost nothing to get my own. It's called a Miracle Farm from the top expert on this system. What? You're saving $100 a month every month on something that cost you almost nothing? Yup. I made one quick run to Home Depot for a few parts and had the other parts I needed already lying around in my garage. All I needed was someone who knew what they were doing to tell me how to do it, and believe me, I learned from the best. My 10-year-old followed to put it together in less than 2 hours. It was a total no-brainer. A survival expert friend of mine turned me on to it, and it totally changed my life for the better since then. Eating more fresh food is what every doctor and nutritionist tells you to do. Plus, I'm ready for anything. A job loss like you're going through, the big earthquake, whatever. This system produces 24/7, 365 days every year, year after year, so I know I'll always have all the food and clean water I need no matter what happens. It's the cheapest peace of mind you can buy. Hey, can I pick you up a few bags of fresh fruit and vegetables to take back to your wife and kids for dinner? And I have plenty of fish here underneath. Underneath? I said. What do you mean, you have fresh fish underneath? Look here. This is how the system works. And he went on to show me exactly how this little yet ingenious setup worked, almost magically, to give him all the fresh food he'll ever need. I went home just totally blown away from the discovery. He gave me 10 bags of fresh produce and enough fish to feed my family for a week, and he still had enough tons of food. I'll tell you about the system in a moment, but first, I have to tell you that this personal food farm solved so many problems for me. It became my life's mission to share this incredible system with others, so people just like you can, 1, avoid having to pay the high prices for organic fruits and vegetables and fresh-caught fish, and save time not having to go to the store so much. 2, not only enjoy all the delicious food you can now easily grow in your own home, garage, or backyard, you'll also enjoy the peace of mind that comes with knowing you'll never be without food should you find yourself in crisis times like I did. 3, you'll discover how to become completely self-reliant for your number one need in life, which is food and clean water. Just like Abraham Lincoln said in the story I shared with you earlier. If you grow up and you still rely on someone else to take care of you, like an employer in my case, because without money I couldn't buy food, or the government to take care of you and make sure you have enough food should disaster strike, then you're a slave to that person because they hold the power of giving you what you need to live. That's why I went back over to my neighbor friends the very next day and asked if he could help me get a mini garden like his set up in my house or maybe on my back porch. So he came over to my place with some step-by-step instructions he'd scratched out in a notebook. He said he'd learned them from a global food expert in food systems who happened to be one of his professors in Australia named Dr. Rowe. This professor revolutionized access to food and how we're able to grow it today, so that anyone can have the best food at all times in their own home. In fact, this system is so sustainable and practical, the U.S. Green Building Council, the USGBC, is using this innovation with great success to stomp out hunger in a landmark program called Feed Hunger Now, which may eventually be the answer to solving massive worldwide food problems, such as hungry families in poverty-stricken communities and starvation in third-world countries. It's being looked at to solve global and local hardships that make it hard for millions of people to have good, fresh food every day, such as war, droughts, soaring food prices, and job losses hitting home. This system is currently being tested and pushed to provide the freshest, highest quality food to the masses all over the world. So, as you can see, it can easily pump out more than enough food to feed a single family like yours day in and day out, even if you have 10 kids. My buddy grew tomatoes, bell peppers, cucumbers, a bunch of different lettuces, kale, strawberries, and blueberries, and those are just what he chose to grow. You can easily grow pretty much any produce you want to eat with this system, and it will also provide gallons of purified drinking water to your family during any emergency. But the most important thing is that it costs almost nothing to set up, and you can do it all on your own. And once you set it up and let it run, you'll never have to spend another dime on food and water ever again. There are different systems out there, but my friend said this particular system is like no other. He showed me how it combines the best of all other systems out there. One of the system's key components is the red wiggler worms, just like the ones I first showed you a picture of. He explained how they play a very important and unique role in what makes this food system so much better and easier than any other system in the world and on the market today. The worms add key nutrients and richness to the soil, which then produces fruits and vegetables that are far superior and healthier than even the best organic food you can buy. There's also a live fish component to it, but I didn't even see the fish when I first saw his garden in his hallway. It was so compact, mess-free, and the fish compartment so neatly built in that I couldn't tell until my friend showed me where this fish part he kept talking about came into play. Every single component complements the others. The worms enrich the garden soil, the garden feeds the fish fertilize the plants, and a continuous built-in filtration system produces endless clean water. It's the perfect self-contained Garden of Eden. My jaw dropped, and I stared at my friend like he was making this all up. He stared back at me like I was a man who just didn't get it. "It's obvious you don't believe me," he said. "That's okay. I actually get that a lot." And with that, he launched into the incredible explanation of how this perfected system in self-sufficiency works. He went on to prove right then and there just how easy and quick it is to set up by asking if my 12-year-old son was available to help. We collected the few parts the instructions said we needed, and then called my son Troy out to the patio and gave him the instructions. Like most kids, he loves to build things, so he was more than up for the challenge. However, it was no challenge at all for this 12-year-old to follow the steps. He put the whole thing together all by himself in just over an hour. As I stood watching in complete amazement, my own miracle farm was coming to life in only one afternoon. I could hardly contain my excitement of what we were bringing into our home, of not just having all the food we could eat while I was out of work and money, but also the food insurance this would give us should disaster hit. Within a month, my miracle farm was making more than enough food to feed my family with 3 meals a day. I mean 3 real meals every day. Fresh salads, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and fresh fish fillets. At times, we drank some of the filtered water from the system and then needed to replace that water, but not often. Still, it sure was comforting to know that if any kind of disaster hit home and water supplies became hard to come by, we would have fresh, clean drinking water at our disposal, and that we could take several gallons of water from it without disrupting our microfarm's little self-contained ecosystem. To know I had the power to keep my family nourished, safe, and completely self-reliant was a really great feeling. To not have to worry about food, or ask the government for handouts, or put a burden on others because I couldn't provide for my loved ones and had hungry mouths to feed, was the most peace of mind I'd ever experienced. And to know that even in some of the worst conditions, should war or disaster hit my neighborhood, that my family and I could not only survive, but thrive, well, that was just a comfort like no other. I thought of all the desperately vulnerable families living on the edge from paycheck to paycheck or no paycheck at all, whose lives could be so different with this system. I thought of preppers around the world who didn't know a miracle farm even exists and is so easy to put in place. Of how they're doing good by focusing on preparing for a disaster, and probably already have an emergency stockpile of food and water, but who don't realize how quickly it runs out, and how easy it is for their stockpile to be stolen or looted when stuff hits the fan. I was glad I was now fully prepared and completely self-sufficient. Months later, I finally did find a job and had money flowing in again. I started to realize different reasons I was so thankful for my miracle farm, like the convenience of not having to go to the store so much, and how it saved me a ton of time and money by not having to rely on grocery stores for all my food. I loved knowing I would never have to rely on anyone or anything for my personal food supply, even if a disaster turned the outside world upside down, that I'd always be eating true organic food, without all the chemicals and toxins food producers are sneaking into the public food supply right under the FDA's nose and getting away with it. Honestly, I thought it was pretty dang cool having all the wholesome fresh food I could eat right outside my kitchen door on my covered porch. The other night, we had some friends over for dinner and everyone marveled at how beautiful my miracle farm was. It was the hit of the party. It was so fun to show off and pick all the ingredients for our dinner right as they stood there. I picked everything myself and brought it into the kitchen. I was cooking vegetables that were so much fresher. They were far more delicious compared to store-bought food that takes 4 to 6 weeks or more to get from where they're grown to the store shelves and sit there until someone buys them. I have 3 friends who are fitness buffs and one is a certified nutritionist. They all said my miracle farm is a healthy food eater's dream. Having all this great food right in my own house changed my world so much, and so many friends wanted to know how they could get their own. I realized that Dr. Rowe's Survival Masterpiece was something every single family needs to know exists. So I asked my friend if he'd be willing to make this information available to everyone and make it so everyone could easily afford to have one. And that's how the Miracle Farm Blueprint was born. We wrote and recorded over-the-shoulder video instructions that make setting up your own miracle farm such a no-brainer and so inexpensive. Just 1 month of savings of not having to buy fruits and vegetables from the store more than covers the low price we decided to offer the blueprint today. I'm giving regular people like you this proven, exclusive, step-by-step instruction to your own miracle farm for practically nothing. Plus, several special free gifts you'll only find here today. I can assure you that I've done my research, and although there is some information regarding similar but inferior systems, nowhere will you find the quality and the accuracy of the full-color, step-by-step, take-you-by-the-hand instructions I offer. You won't find detailed instructions about the system and the working principles anywhere else but right here. Nor will you find the kind of detailed schematics and blueprints I give you today. You won't find the kind of over-the-shoulder video instruction I give you anywhere else that makes setting up your own miracle farm so brain-dead easy that even a 10-year-old can do this. You won't find such a simple yet complete list of the exact tools and parts you'll need anywhere else but here. You don't need many parts, but if you don't get the right things, it just won't quite operate the same. You won't find any guarantee of your success that following my blueprint guarantees. You can have all my years of research based on the professor who revolutionized this system and in-the-trenches experiences of how to successfully put together this amazing automatic food system from scratch right in your own home. You can try to piece together instructions you might see here and there on the internet. It may even work, but I promise you, it will take you at least 6 months to fine-tune it. During all this time, you'll be paying probably $3,000 or more on a bunch of stuff you don't really need. Plus, you'll waste a lot of time on research that you don't have to when I've done all the hard work for you and can have the best, most complete instructions right now on your computer, tablet, smartphone, or you can print them out. Remember, this system runs almost entirely on autopilot, giving you a lifetime of healthy, practical, free, nutritious food, and the security of having gallons of purified water on demand, even in an emergency. It's probably the quickest and easiest way to gain complete self-sufficiency in the world, even if you've never picked up a screwdriver in your life, even if you think you're too old or not smart enough to set this up. We'll show you how, step by step, what to get, how to find the parts for cheap or even free, how to assemble the parts, everything. As long as you understand how to turn that screwdriver, play a video, and can somewhat speak English, you can set up this system no problem. So whether you've never touched a plant in your life or you're already a home gardener or farmer, I'm excited to tell you that this system will grow organic fruits and vegetables and fresh fish with amazing efficiency fast, take almost no time to set up and practically run itself, easy, and cost almost nothing for you to have all the food you can eat, cheap, right in your own home, garage, backyard, even your rooftop. Convenient. In fact, this system gives you 6 times the amount of food compared to conventional farming and uses 90% less water. There's no mess, and once it's set up, it's good to go for life, with almost no maintenance and absolutely no additional costs. And can you believe? It gets even better. Along with the Miracle Farm Blueprint, you also get 3 amazing free bonus gifts just for listening today. Bonus number 1, Emergency Preparation, How to Take Care of Your Family When Disaster Strikes. This free bonus covers the right way to be ready for anything, including what you need to think about and prepare for different types of disasters, how to plan your best escape routes, where to group and why, designating the ideal shelter rooms, plus what you need to know about existing procedures in public places should you or your family not be home when disaster strikes, and knowing your most reliable sources of communication, and how to create your disaster must-haves supply kit, first aid routines even a child can learn and perform, planning for your pet's survival, the cheapest insurance that will replace your possessions if a disaster should cause damage to your home or contents, and much, much more. This special report is sold separately for $27. Bonus number 2, Emergency Drinking Water. We include this one-of-a-kind report because when disaster strikes, things will be very different, and one of the first things to go is clean drinking water. Therefore, what you need to know about planning, filtering, and preserving your supply of liquid gold, which is what clean water will become for you when you're in the middle of any disaster. You'll need to calculate in at least 1 gallon of drinking water for each person in your family each day, plus more for cooking, bathing, and washing clothes. This free bonus will teach you all about managing your emergency drinking water. You'll learn how to use your Miracle Farm system as a filter to clean your water from all the contaminants that leak into public systems during disasters. This practical life skills guide is sold separately for $17. Bonus number 3, the Survival Guide to Canning and Preserving. I'm giving you this because I'm not kidding when I say you're going to have more food than you can possibly eat. So now you'll have a simple, super fun tutorial on how to can and preserve your fruits, vegetables, and fresh fish. You can even give your excess gourmet canned food away as a wonderful gift everyone can use and appreciate, especially those in need. This special report is sold separately for $12.95. Now, if you bought the bonuses by themselves, your total investment today would be almost $60. However, just for watching this presentation today, I have a much better deal for you. Now, I know you could just walk away and chance it that you'll never have to one day be caught without food and clean drinking water. You can continue to hope for the best and not be prepared for the worst. Hope that you don't find yourself like I did without a job and finances getting so tight it's hard to afford good food. And pray to Almighty God that you don't have to live through all the disasters that experts predict are just around the corner. I want to help you like my friend helped me that day. That's why I decided to offer an online-only version of Miracle Farm Blueprint at such an incredibly low price today. Today only, and only on this page, you won't even come close to paying $100 for this Miracle Farm Blueprint and the 3 bonuses. Your price is much less than that. Cut the retail price in half, and you're still not close. Your total investment today for the Miracle Farm Blueprint, including all the step-by-step instructions, parts and tools list, and the high-quality over-the-shoulder video instructions, plus all the bonuses you now see on the screen, is now only $37. Have a look below this video right now. Click on the big orange Add to Cart button to lock in your discounted price today for only $37. Listen, you don't even have to decide right now. Instead, take advantage of my unconditional triple guarantee. I want you to try the Miracle Farm on me for a full 2 months. If you do not have all the fresh, nutritious food you can eat, or If you do not find our service and attention to your satisfaction top-notch, or even if you don't like the font I use in the Blueprint guidebook, it doesn't matter. You'll get every penny of your $37 back. No hassles, no worries, and no questions asked. Simply click the Add to Cart button below. You'll be brought to our secure order page that looks like this. Fill in your payment details and you'll have instant access to all you need to set up the system. Watch the videos, read the manuals, check out the cool bonuses, and start putting all of it to good use to secure your life with self-sufficiency. If for any reason you're not satisfied at any time during the next 60 days, simply let me know by sending me an email at the address located at the top of the members area. You'll receive a prompt and courteous refund within 24 hours. Because I personally don't believe that I deserve your money unless I over-deliver on my promises and unless you get astonishing results. Plus, I know from experience how your monthly expenses are going to drop like a rock. You'll be utterly shocked and delighted at the same time at how much money you are saving every single month. In fact, the system will more than pay for itself the very first month you use it. Have a look below this video now. Click on the orange Add to Cart button and lock in your discounted price of only $37 today. Today, you have the opportunity to change your world to one of complete freedom from dependence on someone else for your number one need in life, food and clean water. It's a simple way to make sure you take responsibility for your everyday health and survival instead of relying on someone else for your food. Give it a try below. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Everything.